Good evening, wine lovers, and welcome to another edition of our evening live stream. Um, yeah, things are hotting up. Everybody's waiting for 12 o'clock, 5 hours until we go to level 2 of the lockdown, which means we can light a cigarette and we can drink a glass of wine tomorrow. Well, we can go buy wine tomorrow and you can go buy cigarettes tomorrow. But I hear there's lots of people that are planning parties for tonight at midnight. So I'd love to hear what you guys are planning. If you're planning a midnight party, please tell us about it in the group. If you are drinking something, please share what you're drinking so that we can see. And yes, thank you again to everyone in the group that helped raise awareness. The South African alcohol ban is lifted. But like I said before, it's a time to celebrate, but not a time to be complacent. Um, So, our wine industry is still going to have tough times for months, probably years to come. So, we still ask everybody to support the South African wine industry as much as they can. Before I go on with the announcements, I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsor of tonight's live stream, the Fishwives Club Boutique Winery. I like the quote that I have here that says, when addressing the majority of wine consumers, remember it's Mrs., not Mr. So I think this is true. Most of our wine consumers are women. I'd love to hear your comments on that. Are there more women wine consumers than men? Maybe a comment, if you leave a comment below, that will be quite interesting. Um, the Fishwives Club still have a 45% discount. A lockdown special is still going. You can still grab it, and I've heard that they're starting deliveries will start going out this week. So that is good news. I think from tomorrow things will be buzzing. Um, so if you still want to get your lockdown special, you can still do. Go to go to fishwivesclub.gr8.com. Let me repeat, fishwivesclub.gr8.com, and they've got a 45% lockdown special. Then again to our group, a huge thank you to everyone. We are over 52,000 people now, and this group is growing by leaps and bounds. More and more people are joining, and it's amazing how you guys are supporting the South African wine industry, for which we are very, very thankful. Like I said tonight, if you're going to have a glass of wine, send us a picture. If you're going to the bottle store, to Tops tomorrow, or you're going to a wine farm, take your camera with you. Send a picture into our group. We'd love to see you buy your first bottle of wine tomorrow. That's going to be quite interesting. And then for our Winelands businesses, I know a lot of people are looking for places to buy wine online in South Africa, but also overseas. We are made an extensive list, and you can find this list at bit.ly/find SaveSAwine. And if you're if you're in the wine business, if you're a wine merchant or a wine estate or wine producer, you can list your business for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. That URL again, bit.ly/find SaveSAwine. Then the other exciting thing is that our upcoming social media training. Erica Taylor from Uncorkified, social media expert, is doing a 1 hour social media training on Wednesday morning from 10 to 11. Social Media 101. If you're in the wine business, if you've got any business and you're interested to learn more about social media, this is totally free. Go to socialmedia101.gr8.com, or just go to the description below this video and you'll see the link there. We are, it's going to be such a great training by Erica. I can't wait for it to start, and we are really blessed that she's giving up her valuable time to give us some free training. Then after the announcements, we are going to play two featured podcasts for tonight. Um, just on the podcast, I want to say something. Um, if there's any Winelands business, a wine producer, a restaurant, anybody in the Winelands that wants to be on your podcast, contact us. Send us a email to visitthewinelands@gmail.com. We are always looking for interesting people to interview, and it's a great way to get some exposure for your business. Also, if you're having a special, if your guest house is opening currently, or you are planning a special at your restaurant, or you've got a wine special or a wine pairing special. I haven't seen any wine pairings come out. Please contact us. We've got some great promotional opportunities available. One of the great ways to get your message out is to actually sponsor a podcast. So consider that. Again, contact us on visitthewinelands@gmail.com. So tonight we've got two podcasts that are featured. In the first one, I guess, is Pardon Taguzu. He's the co-founder and owner, as well as the managing director of African Wines in the Netherlands. These guys are doing a sterling job. They're importing wines from South Africa to the Netherlands. And Pardon, I had an interview with him about it's now almost 3 months ago. Quite interesting. Hear what he has to say. And also, if you're a producer and you might want to get your wine into the Netherlands, Pardon is the person to speak to. And get to listen to the podcast, and his details will be also in the description below. And then, last but not least, I have an interview with Carolyn Liller-Krogh from Zevenwacht, which is going to be quite interesting. Um, uh, Zevenwacht is, as you know, is quite a big farm in just outside Stellenbosch, and a very interesting place, a fantastic place to visit. So do yourself a favor and listen to that podcast as well for some insights, and order some Zevenwacht wine while you're at it. You know, it's I think the details are in the description, and the wine will be available on their wine store. And then just before I go, I'm going to be gone in 30 seconds, and we're going to listen to the podcast. I just want to remind you guys, thank you to our sponsor, the Fishwives Club Boutique Winery. They have a fantastic 45% discounted lockdown special. Get your lockdown special tonight. You can order it online. Deliveries are starting this week. And the Fishwives Club um, uh, is a great wine, and if you can, you should get the special before it ends. You're never going to see this wine at this discounted price again. So that's my story for tonight. We're going to go on to the podcast now, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting show. Just a reminder: if you are tonight drinking wine at midnight, send us a picture. Um, Tell us what you're drinking, and if you're having a party, tell us about it. If you are at a bottle store tomorrow, or at a wine farm or whatever, we'd love to see your pictures in the group. And yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the evening and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Good day, everyone. Welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to Pardon Taguzu from African Wines. Good day, Pardon.
Good day, Will. How are you?
I'm great. You are currently sitting in The Hague in the Netherlands, also under a lockdown, and must be quite exciting times over there, if you can put it that way.
Yeah, well, excitingly devastating times
Mhm.
in terms of business wise and also
Yeah.
social life as well. Because yeah, we've also gone under social distancing.
Mhm.
Not really lockdown per se. The Netherlands has a different approach to this whole pandemic. So we mainly doing social distancing, but we've also closed most businesses that has quite a huge number of gatherings, etc. Restaurants, hotels, events, and also the conferences as well that have been cancelled and business has been on standstill.
Oh, amazing. So, pardon, let's start off with something more, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved with the wine industry.
Yeah, how I became involved with the wine industry. It's quite a very interesting story. Well, I'm Zimbabwean originally, and just like any other young Zimbabwean, during the time when things were not going really well, the economy was actually taking a huge knock in Zimbabwe. Decided to visit the Cape where my sister was actually based. Um, yeah, and when I got to the Cape, it was actually in 2010. Um, and I happened to just work at a hotel as a runner, and then after that I got the excitement, but my visa to stay at that time was just a visitor's visa, which lasted me for only about a month. And after that, I had to go back. I had to go back home. So when I got back home, I started thinking about this short experience which I had. Obviously, coming uh, from 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 a background that I'm quite very active in social scenes. I like to socialize with people, and that small duration of time when I was actually working at the Royal Hotel for those 3 weeks uh, gave me a different perception to the world, that I can still engage in people doing what I like to do and still earn money out of it. So then I came back to South Africa officially now, on a working visa. And fortunately enough, I got a job again at the same hotel, which is Royal Hotel in Ruby Castle. Um, and I was actually a runner. They got me in as a runner, but you know, coming from an academic background, you always want more, and you always want to achieve more. So for me, being a runner was like, okay, yeah, okay, it's the beginning. So what's next? But I actually rose quickly through the system there. I was understanding the systems, how it works. I was also understanding as well how to talk with guests, and I was also quite friendly to people, and I was also earning quite a lot of tips for someone who was actually just arrived. So then I was offered a waiter's job. Then I started picking up tables. Um, After picking up tables, I also was switched from picking up tables, and I went behind the bar as well. I went behind the bar and got a little bit of an insight about the drinks, which when I got to the hotel, I didn't have any idea about alcoholic drinks, because I was coming from a Christian family, which means that drinking alcohol was actually not was actually prohibited. You could not drink any alcohol beverages or even smoke. Yeah, but then I had the experience of actually working in the bar and also waitering tables as well, and I got the fascination of hearing people actually explain wine, because the guys that I've been working with, they have been at the hotel for minimum almost like 7 years, and they could understand wines and they could talk about wines, and I just got the fascination. And with my academic background, I always want to know and want to learn more. So I asked the guys, okay, so how do I get into knowing about all these flavors that you're talking about this wine? And just um, as colleagues, and with also the appreciation which I was getting back then from the guests and also from the hotel owners as well. Um, my colleagues were not that willing to give away the information that where could I actually go and study and do the studies and actually become like them or even more. But eventually, thanks to Google, I actually looked it up and enrolled myself at Cape One Academy. And I remember in that time I used to travel with the train from Rebecca Still to Stellenbosch. I'd drop off at Klapmats, and I would walk from Klapmats down to close to the mall zone there. That's where the classes were being done. And then after that, I would do the same routine again.
Wow.
Yeah, so and then yeah, when I did my introductory certificate, and then after that I went also to do my certificate level 2 as well, and then I proceeded also. Then I met Kathy Marston. Kathy Marston, who is actually doing the WCT, running the WCT program in South Africa. And she introduced me to WCT. Then I was like, okay, wow, this is something interesting, because of course I was thinking of not just South Africa as the place for me to explore wine business. I was actually thinking globally. And when she pitched the idea to me that, okay, WCT is actually being recognized in over 60 countries in the world, then that actually struck me by I actually grew an interest, and then I also enrolled with the WCT as well. Then I did my courses until level 3, um, and then whilst I was doing this, I was still actually working in Rebecca Still, where I just also moved from the hotel, and then I went to a very nice, cozy Italian restaurant and a restaurant in the valley, which is called Mama Cucina. Then I started off there, building my first wine list. I started off a wine program there, and I also started off some food and wine pairings as well for that restaurant. Thankfully to Kuni and Johan, they actually trusted me at that time to actually take care of that part. Um, but yeah, and I was never meant to stay at one place, which also my bosses then, Kuni and Johan, were they were very open about me that, if we know you actually pursuing a career in wine, if you have anything opening, please do take it. We don't want to hold you. We don't want to hold you to the same position. If you want to grow, you have to grow. So yeah, fortunate enough, I also got an offer from our Aubergine restaurant, which is in Cape Town, where I then started working there as an assistant sommelier. Um, and also I was now exposed to more wines. We used to run a wine list. We shared about 650 listings on the list, and
Mhm.
we had a very huge seller of about 17,500 bottles, which is probably the best seller in the Western Cape. Yeah, and then I also started competing as well. I was the runner-up of 2017 Best Young Sommelier in South Africa.
Mhm.
Um,
Awesome.
and then after that, we also went to participate in the World Blind Tasting Championship as a team of four Zimbabwean sommeliers.
Yes, yes, I
So
saw
yeah,
that. I saw the Zim sommeliers. Tell us a bit more about them.
yeah. Well, so um, there is a competition which is being run by Jean-Vincent Ridon, which is the South African Wine Tasting Championship. So basically you go from regionals, and then you also go to the nationals as well. But the rules of the competition is uh, any other team can only bring one foreign national into their team. So when I participated in 2017, I was actually in top five best testers in the Western Cape. Um, and it also happens that we also have enough Zimbabweans as well that were in the top 15. So ideally, it was very wise for us to actually create a Zimbabwean team and just represent Zimbabwean team rather than all of us just fighting for one spot into getting into Team South Africa. So we did that, and we actually went on the journey to France, and we competed, which was the first time, and we did not have enough preparation. We came 23 out of 24. Yeah, that's basically about Zim Soms, and it's actually a team which is made of four sommeliers.
An awesome
At that time, I
story.
was still yeah, it is an awesome story of wine bringing people from different walks of life together.
Well, also from a country like Zimbabwe, which doesn't really have a wine history.
Yeah. We basically do not have a vast wine history, but we have up to now I think about four wineries in Zimbabwe that not really that successful in actually making wines and also exporting wines as well. So basically, I can say the wine culture is not there. You know, me for instance. Um, I never grew up knowing that okay, we're gonna have dinner and then we're gonna have a bottle of wine at the table. Even though I was young at that time, and my folks um, also did not have that kind of culture as well, let alone beer. So it is quite a unique turn and shift.
Okay, so you then at the Aubergine restaurant. So how did you get involved with you know, how did you progress from there, and tell us the story about African wines and you know how that happened.
Yeah, uh, well, African wines was actually it was actually an idea which was birthed it was like 2.5 years ago. I was still working at Origin restaurant, and I met this couple that came into the restaurant with their two sons. Um, it was actually most arguably the fastest table I had to serve. When you go out as a family, you really want to relax, you want to enjoy your meal, and you want to make the most time of it, especially when you're on holiday. So this couple came in, and they were actually sitting upstairs, and I was called by one waiter that they needed somebody's assistance. So I went there and I greeted them, and they told me that what we would like to have a nice bottle of red wine from South Africa, and they were all having a springbok. And at that time, I was actually thinking, okay, this is actually a traveling family. Obviously, they're not here to blow the budget. They want something which is quite comfortable with the budget, but also delivers as well with their meal. So then I recommended them Dunkin' Service red blend, um, which they liked very much. And after that, I was actually in conversation with the other son, and he was trying to offer me a job in front of my chef, um, and which was quite very interesting because I was like, okay, come on, man, you cannot be saying such things in front of my boss. But then we kept contact, and this family is actually based here in the Netherlands, and they own a few restaurants, and they've been in the restaurant business for quite a while. And um, so we kept on talking and talking, and prior to that, when we were about to go for the band testing championship, which Jancis Robinson had helped us to actually do a crowdfunding. They were also the major donors of the crowdfunding for us to go to France. Um, so yeah, and they also extended a trip visit as well from France to the Netherlands. That's when we sat down and we started talking what could be best, what could we do together, what projects should we do. And at that time, I had thought about South African wines being uh, making really a good mark into the world of wines, and I always had thought that they are not well represented because the entry level you get in Europe, either from a supermarket, it either gives you a good impression or it gives you a bad impression, and you don't have also other different wines which are coming from very small independent producers, which are also focusing on a bit more quality than quantity. It's either you were getting a very entry level wine, or you get a premium wine which is super expensive. So yeah, so then I pitched the idea that okay, what I would like to do uh, is to actually move into distribution of wine. So yeah, just like that, and then we actually started off African wines, where I had to build up a portfolio of wineries from the Cape, but literally from very small independent producers, and from producers that are also involved in social responsibility of their communities as well, and also giving back to the community, and also aware of the dangers of what the world and the plants are in as well. And yeah, and that just happened, and we commenced our business and 2 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support their country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation: www.solidarityfund.co.za. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. So, are you guys only selling in the Netherlands?
No. It's thanks to the EU. You have quite a very good free movement. Currently, we are selling in Belgium. We're selling in Austria. We also selling in London as well. A little bit of that. And we're also selling now in South America as well, and we also selling in Germany as
Oh, that's amazing. So, Paul, I see that I've noticed that you import from all over South Africa. How do you choose your wine? I mean, building a portfolio is from all over South Africa is quite a job.
Yeah, it's quite a job, man. Um, so, so basically, like I told you, the fundamental principles of building this portfolio, um, which my business partner also was very keen in that Belinda and Damiano Dialga was mainly given back to the community, and which is what is also lacking um, in the wine business here in Europe. So basically, we wanted to gather around wineries that do social responsibilities, uh, wines that are being made from the wineries that are disadvantaged because they do not probably have the budgets to bring out their wines out, and wineries that also have really good wine that also counts, but also really good story as well, because everyone now is moving away from the norm of talking about the political jargon of the acidity, the tannins. People want to hear what's going to make them feel good if they purchase this bottle of
Mm.
wine. What is it going to change in someone's life if they purchase that bottle of wine? So that was like the fundamental principles where we were building the portfolio from.
Well, that's amazing. I saw it on your website. There is a charity button, and that explains a bit more about it. So I assume that all your wineries that you are representing have some kind of a social responsibility type of angle.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I can run you through just one example.
That would be great.
Uh,
Yeah.
we yeah we have on the portfolio the winery which is called Black Elephant Vineyards.
Hmm.
It is based in Franschhoek,
Hmm.
and this is actually the coming together of three partners, which is Raymond Love, Kevin Swartz, and also Jacques Wenzel. Um, so basically, what this whole corporation is part of the BEE, which is the Black Empowerment Policy, which also the government is also supporting. And this winery, what they do, they have what is called the miracle dream, where they actually teach kids in the Franschhoek Valley how to preserve water. Due to the drought in Cape Town, which hit us a couple of years ago. So they actually teach them to recycle water. Say for instance, the water that you actually use for your dishes, you don't have to throw it away. You can actually use it for your garden. And it's quite fundamental because that's how you can actually change things when you actually teach the kids, because they will feel actually the responsibility to actually take up such projects, and they do this project, which some of their wines which they have in their range, when they're purchased, they actually channel funds to sustaining that project. So that's quite a very interesting point, and interesting charity that we actually run with. They actually run themselves.
Oh, awesome. So, if any of your listeners out there is a wine producer and would be interested to work with you, what do they need to do? And do you have any other specific requirements?
Well, not really specific than other the fundamentals which have been which I've just alluded to. Besides that as well, the wine has to be good, man. We here also to make sure that our customers here have the best wine
Hmm.
at the best value, and it's not necessarily that they have to get a mortgage to actually buy a bottle of wine. They need to appreciate more South African wine, so we need to have all different categories and price points for them to start the culture of thinking of South Africa as a first choice when they get to a wine store or a supermarket in the EU.
Well, that's awesome. Pardon, now we're sitting with a situation with the coronavirus, and it's forcing everyone to rethink their business model. Do you have any changes or new
Yes.
ideas in mind?
Yeah, it's we actually now getting. This is now the point where personal, I think we are being socially prepared because of this pandemic. Um, this is when you actually need innovation. Um, selling more online is actually the only thing that will actually make businesses survive at this moment. And besides that, because from my point of view, we have like 99% of our business, which is actually stuck up in restaurants. But now this is where we have to be innovative, start selling more online, start doing deliveries, and also start doing a lot more promotions online as well to just keep the audience knowing about the brand, and also knowing where they can buy the wines and what best value they can actually get from such from such initiatives.
Okay, excellent. So, pardon, your wine journey has been quite an interesting story. What is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Yeah, well, the most important thing that I've learned from my journey is to is to have a thick skin and stay humble, have a thick skin, and yeah, just most of the times listen to yourself, and just throw yourself out there, uh, work hard. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. If you never try, you never know.
Awesome. So, my last question for you is, can you give us your very own wine quote or
I
your
think you
favorite
saw
one?
it in my. I think you saw it in my email, the one I sent you. In wine, there is truth,
In wine,
because I believe,
yes.
yeah, in wine there's truth, because I believe wine is a reflection of a religion. It's a reflection of a culture. It's a reflection of who we are as human beings. It's art. So there is always the truth in wine.
Awesome. Gordon, thank you so much for talking to us. If people want to get hold of you guys or want to know where you are, how do they do that?
We are available on mostly social platform mediums. We are available on Instagram. It's African Wines NL, and our email address as well is info@africanwines.nl. Besides, they can get to me directly as well at pardon@africanwines.nl. We're also on LinkedIn as well as African Wines, and we're also on Facebook as African Wines as well.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll be putting your links all in the description anyway, so people can find it there. Well, and thank you very much for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, Will, for having me, and good luck for everything to you too, and stay safe.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm speaking to Carolyn Liller-Krogh of Zevenwacht. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Will. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Enjoying the time to be able to chat to lots of people, using the time productively yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been good. I've spent some precious time with my daughter. I travel a lot, so this has been a time to catch up and just have some good family times. But it's been good, and obviously having a little bit of wine on the side helps too.
That's always awesome when working for a wine business, right?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about yourself and how you became involved with the wine industry.
Well, currently I'm the national sales manager for Zevenwacht Wine Estate. I've been in the industry now for going on 21 years. I think the wine industry almost found me by coincidence. When I was studying, I decided to work at Liller-Krogh Wine Estate, just as a sideline job while I was studying. So I was in the cellar door and I did cellar tours and listening to the senior staff and listening to the winemakers, the bug really bit. So growing up in a family that always enjoyed wine and always used to sip along with my mum and my dad, but never really understanding what it was all about. And I think from those Liller-Krogh days, I decided I'm going to follow the wine path and see where it takes me, and here I am today.
Amazing. Were your studies related to wine at all?
Well, I actually started off with law and then proceeded to move into marketing and public relations. So it was an interesting combination. And then subsequently, I did my Cape Wine Academy diploma. So it started off in a very different level, and then I made a kind of move into which would be more relevant on the wine side.
Wow, amazing. How long have you been with Zevenwacht?
I started last year, March. So just over a year now.
And before that?
Before that, I was at Thelema Mountain Vineyards. And then I was at Distel, Kleine Zalze, Steenberg, Glencarlu. So some really amazing names that I can, add to my CV.
Well, that's amazing. So Zevenwacht itself, can you tell us a little bit more about the history of Zevenwacht?
Yes, of course. Zevenwacht actually has a wonderful history, steeped in a lot of interesting tradition. And the property itself has always been on the farming side. And then probably in about, I think it was about 1903, they discovered cassiterite, which is the raw ore that is made into tin. So the mine was basically built. So there's still the original winch and boiler on the farm today, and we actually still have the shafts on the farm, hence why one of our tiers is called the tin mine range. And then that ended probably just before World War I, and it went back into farming. Then in about 1992, Harold and Denise Johnson bought the farm as a going concern. So it was already planted out to vineyards. But what Harold and Denise then decided to do is upgrade the entire facility. So there was a lot of vineyards that were pulled out and replanted. So effort was put into understanding our true terroir and what really suits our farm. We're in a wonderfully unique position. So, and we're very much driven towards a Sauvignon Blanc because of where we are situated. And that went right through to the vinicultural side too, and looking at the cellar and seeing, best practices. So that's a bit of background on who we are. So Zevenwacht actually is a Dutch word, and it means 7 expectations.
7 expectations, right? Talking about expectations, what can the guest expect or experience when visiting your estate?
So we are very fortunate to have a beautifully sized estate. And there's so much that you can do on it. For those who haven't been to Zevenwacht, I think to drive in through those gates, and the first thing you see is just beautiful vineyards, and you drive down this oak-lined road, and that will give you of what to expect. So we see ourselves as a lifestyle estate, and we encourage people to visit our farm, not just to taste wine, but come and jog on the farm. And we've got mountain bike courses. There's a 4x4 course, which the 4x4 club manages. Just simply enjoying our conservancy and and nature itself. And then over and above that, we obviously have our wine tasting center. So, and there are different choices that you can to choose to enjoy our wine. So whether it's a cheese and wine pairing, whether it's a chocolate and wine pairing, or it's simply you just choosing which wines you'd like to taste. We also have a restaurant, and part of that restaurant is our picnic area. So our restaurant is very much towards South African style cooking with a nice twist. Chef Henna heads up the kitchen. We have lovely reviews that come through from that side. We obviously then also have our country inn. There's 13 rooms in total. We have Bakwena Spa that forms part of the enjoyment of the farm with gorgeous views. Yeah, so there's quite a few choices to be made when visiting Zevenwacht.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it seems to me like there's been a progression in your tourism from just first it started off with wine tasting and then into a concept called wine tourism, and now you've got it seems like everybody's going into a complete package of a sort of lifestyle tourism offering in the Winelands. Do you offer anything like lifestyle packages where people can do that type of bookings where they come for a certain time with all kinds of stuff included, that type of thing?
Yes, most definitely. You'll see now, specifically going into the quieter months, never mind the fact that we're overcoming quarantine, but traditionally going into winter, we generally come out with very nice packages. So it's like a eat, sleep, stay concept, stay for 2 nights. It includes dinner at the restaurant, a spa package with a wine tasting. So we do a collaborative effort with all the entities on our farm, so people can truly get a full experience of what we can offer and see how beautiful the farm itself is. Once you're on Zevenwacht, there's no reason why you have to even leave, if you're there for a couple of days.
That's true, and your location is very nice as well, close to the airport and close to the rest of our experience in the Winelands.
Exactly, yeah. No, we nicely, so we still form part of the Stellenbosch wine route. So we on the Stellenbosch side, but the nice thing is, like you said, conveniently close to the airport and surrounded by amazing other farms too, to form part of that route, you know.
Well, on that point, on the airport side is, I see you've got a conferencing and event team as well, or you are offering that you have.
Yes.
I suppose that's something that you specifically look to build during the winter months to fight this whole tourism winter.
Most definitely. We are very reliant on the corporates to assist us through the quieter months. So we have lovely conferencing packages on offer, again, including the different entities on the farm. And then we also advocate for functions and weddings. So if you are interested, I would suggest anyone visiting our website and linking through to our banqueting team for functions and weddings, and through to our hotel team to assist with conferencing.
Oh, that's awesome. So now the important stuff. Tell us a bit more about the wines you are producing, and also the Zevenwacht winemaking philosophy.
So our philosophy, and I think we're probably not the only one, but it's something that we live true to, is that wine making in essence starts in the vineyard, as we all know. And the wonderful thing is, again, going back to who Zevenwacht is from a position point of view. So we are positioned at quite a high altitude, and we have influences both from Table Bay and False Bay, from a sea influence that cools down the vineyards completely, especially in our hot Stellenbosch summers. With that said, most of our vineyards are also south to southwest facing. So that also assists from that intense heat. We find that we can have longer hang time, for example, for the grapes. We also have a lovely soil structure, mostly decomposed. Like I said, we focus, our biggest planted to vine is our Sauvignon Blanc. One of the few Sauvignon Blancs that I think when you actually have, you can enjoy the lack of huge amounts of acidity. You don't need the Rennies while you're drinking it, you know. And that obviously comes along with all the elements that make up to where we can get a beautiful, well-structured wine in general going across all our cultivars, really. So Haugen Viljoen is our cellar master, and he's been with us now just over about a year and a half. And he very much loves focusing on, because of where we are again, on the Rhone cultivar, specifically our Syrah. And then also we have an old vine Chenin Blanc on our farm. So that's become a large focus of ours too. And Chardonnay. So those are basically the three cultivars that we can see formulating with where we are from a placement point of view as our focus wines, you know.
Oh, that's amazing. So your wines, Carolyn, where are they sold? I see you're exporting worldwide. Tell us a bit more about your markets.
We are. So luckily for Zevenwacht, one of the great advantages of working with this brand, we have 4 different tiers to the wine. So we have from our Z collection range, which is our top tier, right through to our lifestyle range, which is our sevens range. And with that, and obviously a few in between, like our tin mine and our estate. So with that said, it's so great to be able to target different markets with the different tiers. The majority of our market sits in our own backyard. We have a huge national presence, of which the majority of that sits in Cape Town. And then, yes, we have a global stance as well. Our biggest markets are Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, UK. And with that said, you know, we are spreading as much as possible. So yes, we are in America, we're in Canada, we're working on towards getting into Asia, and I am personally working on spreading our wings throughout Africa too, because what we've seen is that there is a larger request for well-priced premium South African wines in other African countries. So that's one of our biggest 2020 projects.
That's very, very interesting. Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support their country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation. www.solidarityfund.co.za. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. With the local market, I assume that that is going to be, especially with the current situation, that's going to be extremely important when things get back to normal. Are you doing anything specific? I mean, your local market, if you say Cape Town, I assume that's mostly restaurants, or that also retail stores?
Yeah, I think that whole question of what is the new normal is a very interesting one, and it's a big concern across the entire industry. You know, the restaurant and hotel industry is so closely aligned to the wine industry, and I'm on quite a few different chat groups, and it's very interesting to see what people want to do from an initiative point of view. So yes, there are going to be huge amounts of changes. To be honest with you, I think for at least the rest of 2020, people are going to be very aware of the fact of remaining with the whole social distancing, staying more to themselves, keeping at home. So from an off-con perspective, so from a retailer perspective, and an online sales perspective for home deliveries. So for example, we've just started our own online wine shop from Zevenwacht. That is advantageous for us. That, we can see huge growths forthcoming after, quarantine. But on the other hand, sadly, the restaurants and hotels are really going to suffer. So collectively, we've been sitting together as an industry and coming up with initiatives that we can put forward and assist. And what do we do? We have to reach the consumer, assist with them coming into a restaurant, be aware that obviously, again, tables will have to be far apart. There's going to be huge amounts of sanitization going on. There's going to be less people being able to sit in a restaurant. How can we help them? Is it from a discount structure? Is it from getting an initiative to assist with a group funding? So yeah, there's a lot under discussion. What is viable and what isn't, time will tell. But we will be in this together, and we stand together.
Well, I mean, that's the message I get from everybody I'm talking to in the industry. Everybody's working together and rethinking basically their business model. Is there anything else that you have in mind? I mean, of course, wine sales is one aspect of your business. The big advantage of a place like yourself is that you have an outside experience as well, which means social distancing is a bit easier. And I think people will be more keen to go to outside spaces than maybe in inside spaces.
Definitely. So again, it's a bit of a tough time, with us going into cooler weather. For those who are, prepared to carry on running through the wine farm. Every day when I arrive at the farm, it's so wonderful to see groups of people arriving to do the jog around the farm or the mountain biking trails and stuff. So obviously that will still remain open. And, from a health perspective, it's wonderful to be able to get out there once we've all been, feels like, the four walls, clawing down the four walls, getting some fresh air and exercise. But we will have to maintain, as much as we see ourselves as a wine brand, we also have a restaurant and a hotel on our farm too. Yeah. So we kind of have a foot on both sides. So we will have to look at different ways of encouraging people to enjoy our facilities, but being aware of, you know, what, like I said before, the new normal is going to be. So that, yeah, we've had conversations. We'll sit down, you know, in a group and have larger discussions of the next 12 to 24 months and where we can assist the best we can. And that goes, I think, from a global discussion. It's not just South Africa. So it's going to be a very interesting rollout. And to be honest, I think time will tell. We can put initiatives in place and it will be adjusted and changed. We'll literally have to be able to go with the flow and be flexible, you know.
It's going to be interesting times. Carolyn, I see Zevenwacht is a member of this BWI, the Biodiversity and Wine Initiative. What does that mean?
Yes. So we actually, again, like I mentioned, we are very lucky to have a fairly big farm. 100 hectares are under vine, but then what we've done is actually, so from about 2009, apologies, we became a member of the BWI. What we've done is we've put 80 hectares of a very special biome aside called Renosterveld. So it's under a lot of stress. There's very little Renosterveld left within the Western Cape. And through a conservancy as part of the Liller-Krogh Conservancy, so it's ourselves and our neighbors that have put a certain amount of hectares of Renosterveld aside. That obviously encourages soil health, protection of birds of prey and smaller mammals. You know, we've got about 150 to 200 different species of flora. So it's just assisting and having that balance between the farming factor and the Mother Nature factor, and making sure we're not intruding and not being greedy as to, you know, what we need to do to make sure everything is looked after efficiently and sufficiently. And it's also about farming methods, you know, ensure that we're not using anything that's going to affect the natural flora and fauna, and just be careful how we manage what we do use in the vineyards and so on and so forth. So keep it as natural as possible.
Well, I think this is a growing trend worldwide, and especially your new markets, your millennials, your new, you know, they are, seems to me,
yes,
they're more interested in this type of thing than in the old, you know, traditional wine history and that type of stuff.
Completely agree. And it's quite interesting when you speak to the Nordic countries. One of the first questions is around, you know, the conservancy and how we protect our farms and how we look after, you know, flora and fauna, going through into how our people are looked after too. And the other question is whether we're vegan as well. So those are two very definite trends coming out. And we can happily say we are now vegan. We're offering vegan wines. We've walked away from all animal products within the winemaking process.
I was wondering about that. I always assumed that all wines are vegan, but now it seems to me there is a difference. So can you enlighten me a little bit more? It's quite interesting.
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't really realize that exactly as you said, we weren't vegan. But when you go into the larger process of how the wine is made, so for example, when it comes down to the filtration, so the fining of the wine, collecting the solid particles out of the juice itself, for example, we used to use certain animal products. So for example, you can actually basically use egg whites, and that almost works as like a consomme. I don't know if you know the soup consomme. So it's a clear soup, and they add the egg white to attract all the solid particles so that you end up with a beautiful, bright, clear soup. And it's exactly the same concept within the winemaking side. But obviously, it being egg white, it's, you know, it's an animal product. And there are different methodologies. I'm trying to remember the other one. I think it's called an isotope or something. It's like a fish bladder
my word,
powder, something like that, that is added. But again, obviously, it's an animal product. So officially, all wines from the 2019 harvest have moved over to being vegan. So now we've moved over to different methods where we use only plant-based, or for example, bentonite clay. So there are different versions, and there's different products on the market, basically from like a starch version through to a kelp version, and like I said, using a clay. But more and more brands are moving towards using plant-based, and it's I don't think it's just going to be fad or fashion. It's not just a trend. It's now becoming more of a way of life, a healthier way of living, you know.
Definitely. I mean, it's a huge trend. So Carolyn, been interesting so far, but now what I would like to hear from you personally is, what is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Sure. It's been a very long journey. Like 21 years later, there's a lot learned. You know, I think in the early days, the complete naivety to obviously being an older now. I don't have to give my age away.
No, man, I can hear you're still a youngster. So stop teasing us.
Thanks, Rob. It's so sweet. But you know, for me, I think the biggest lesson I've learned, bar many others, but one that really sticks with me and which I apply to my day-to-day workings, from putting strategy together right through to when I actually am speaking to consumers at wine shows, for example, is the KISS methodology. So keep it stupid simple. You know, there's no reason to overcomplicate the way we talk about wine, for example, or strategies that we put together. At the end of the day, keep it as clear and simple as possible, that everyone can understand where we want to go and what we want to do. I think that for me has been the biggest lesson learned. And it's through trial and error, and it's through mistakes. And as you well know, we all learn from our mistakes. But if I can recommend for anyone to stick to that simplicity of understanding wine, explaining wine, you know, when you speak to your consumer at the wine show, they don't really want to know about pH, acidity, barrel ferment, malolactic fermentation. I mean, yes, you obviously have the people who will specifically ask for that, but your general wine consumer actually just enjoys that liquid in the bottle. They want to learn about your brand truth, the history, who you are sometimes, you know, and just have good, honest conversations. It doesn't have to be complicated.
I like that. So, Carolyn, can you give us your very own wine quote or a favorite wine quote?
Well, there are lots of wine quotes that I don't know if it's appropriate.
That's okay.
I think for me, you know, wine should never be seen as an unattainable subject, whether it's from an understanding perspective or from a pricing perspective. Wine shouldn't be put on this pedestal, so it's sitting at some mountaintop, you know. And we have to change the way we talk about wine, the way we express the subject. Let it be less intimidating and let it be more inclusive. So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't care how you're going to drink my wine or with what you're going to drink it. If you have chosen to buy my wine off the shelf or chosen my wine off that wine menu, I love you. Full stop, thank you, done. That's deal done. You know, that for me is just very important going into this new cycle we have to expand our market, and it's not necessarily from a country perspective. We have to expand our drinking market, who we are talking to, who we want part of a broader conversation. And currently we aren't able to do that with the way we are expressing wine conversations and brand. It has to just be simplified, more open, more honest, less intimidating.
Very, very wise words. Carolyn, how do people, if people want to get hold of Zevenwacht, where do they find you? How do they get hold of you?
The best way is to go onto our website. All information is on there. So it's www.zevenwacht.co.za. So whether you want to speak to myself, my details are there, or the office for general queries, from banqueting through to booking accommodation or wine tasting, all the information is on our website.
Okay, excellent. We'll put those links in the description. Carolyn, it's
Great.
been a pleasure to talking to you, and thank you for taking the time, and enjoy the rest of your lockdown.
Thank you, Will. It was wonderful to catch up with you, and best of luck for the lockdown to you too.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.